It's an interesting question. Would you rather have 16 of them or one Bugatti Chiron?
If you drive one, it's game over. It's being built ground up by Shelby.
Okay.
It no longer has the flat plane V8.
That's very controversial. Not controversial, but a lot of people are
Disappointed.
yeah.
You're buying this car for the driving aspect of it, not so much for how the panel feels when you close the door.
The whole launch was botched.
Yeah.
It was delayed by 2 years. And when it did come to North America, it sat in the dealership lot for 8 months, 6 months to 8 months. Yeah.
In terms of sports car and value, this car outsold the Supra, the Subaru. It outsold them all together in sales. Like, it had the most sales last year.
I was excited to hear the Toyota Celica is coming, making a comeback.
Sales have been tanking across the board. Volkswagen is in a lot of trouble now because they have to pump out EVs and sell them, and they can't. Alfa Romeo owners love drama. They love the drama of things breaking on the road, of the hatch not opening when you want it to open.
No, they call them quirks. Audi's lost its way in my view.
Like Mercedes with the C-Class. I know they tried to push this 4-cylinder performance model. Nobody bought it.
No, they learned their lesson.
They lost the V10.
Yes.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, because there could be great V8s.
Yeah.
I don't think that the V10 was a great motor. It sounded fantastic.
Talk about hating your customer.
I know, right? How do you go from selling SRT models throughout the brand to this?
This relatively, like the world as a whole, outside
is rejecting
the EV.
You can legislate supply, you cannot legislate demand.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can
No
tell them
matter
that
how
to make
much you put at it.
they're sitting on lots.
The entire auto industry is sort of seeing a decline. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Car Talk. We're back with the usual suspects once again, and in this
episode,
in this episode, we're going to talk about the best value new sports car for 2025, and then we're going to share our picks for the most disappointing or exciting car releases of this year or upcoming release as well. And finally, we'll look at some sales data and get your opinions on some of those numbers. Just debate it and go from there. So let's dive right in. We'll get into the first topic: best value new sports car or for 2025. We each have a pick, right?
yes.
Yeah, I have a couple.
I have 3.
Who wants to start?
We'll start. I think we'll start with you today. 'Cause me and Eric have been taking turns going first. So,
Are you ready?
Let me get into it. Okay. So do we start with the most exciting sports
car? What are you
car?
excited about?
well, this is the best valued, exciting sports car, right?
That's right. First topic, best value sports car for 2025.
Yeah.
I think we touched on this last episode as well. I think the ZR1. Oh,
It's on top of my list.
That's okay. It's not even out yet, but
yeah.
actually, did you hear what happened to the ZR1?
What happened?
Went on auction, Bear Jackson. All the money was going towards charity. It was, I think, it's GM's idea to donate the money. But the first one, it's funny because the spec was the same one we saw at the car show. So it wasn't the best looking spec, but $3.7 million.
That's, was it Richard Childress? He owns, I think, a ton of GM dealerships in the US, and I think he obviously owns the NASCAR team or teams. But I think that's his tradition, that he buys the first VIN 001 from every new Corvette release.
I just hope that the Corvettes are not going to get to that level.
It's a write-off.
They're
not going to sell for that.
It's a charity thing. I think it's just it's these values are not going to be.
Someone had too much money. He's like, I got to burn this for charity.
Yeah.
So I can write it off.
It's a write-off.
Yeah. I think that's how it works.
So I think in terms of best value, the power to dollar value, nothing beats that, right?
I did, because it was my pick as well. Let me do some math for you. In the category of 1,000 horsepower cars, this is what this will compete against. So you've got a Bugatti Chiron. So the range is 3.3 million to about 5.7 million. So, or as expressed in Corvette ZR1s, 16 Corvette ZR1s, right? So you can get a Corvette ZR1 for $200,000 US dollars, or you can buy 16 of them, or 1 Bugatti Chiron.
Oh, he's doing the math of
Okay.
10
Numbers guy.
RS4s.
This is it. It all comes down to ZR1s.
What are you going to do with 16 ZR1s?
I'm just saying.
Every color, every spec.
It's an interesting question. Would you rather have 16 of them or 1 Bugatti Chiron?
I'll just take one
Okay.
ZR1.
Ferrari F80. So starting list price 3.9 million,
Okay.
or 19 ZR1s. A Koenigsegg Jesko at $3 million US dollars.
Wait, is this
or
how you shop
15.
for cars?
That's it. Everything you base it.
Yeah.
Do I want
So
one for every
Okay.
working day of the month, or 1 Corvette for every working day of the month, or just 1 Bugatti Chiron?
okay, so I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit before we continue with more cars. I don't know too much about the ZR1 technically because I've been focusing on the aesthetics of this car since it's just released. But is this the same motor that's in the Z06, just supercharged?
I believe so.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
how all the Z06 ZR1s are.
Okay, and to Eric's point there, 16 ZR1s or 1 Bugatti or whatever the case may be. Does it come down to a stereotype? Like, are people going?
Okay.
The Corvettes had this attachment of New Balance high sock,
Jean shorts,
jean short wearing elderly men.
your foldable lawn chair in the back.
Yeah.
So you're asking the question, since this is such a
No,
great value car,
yes.
why don't we have them? Or why don't we own
We
it?
can't have it yet. This is the first one of its kind, to be honest.
Yeah.
There hasn't been one like this. All the prior Corvettes have been a different layout, different performance, different numbers.
That's true.
And this car, every road test, not even the ZR1, the Z06, every single review is comparing it to GT3, Ferrari 458, high caliber cars that are really out of its bracket. You know what I mean? So, is it a stereotype though? Like, are people not going to buy the Corvette because it's a Corvette? Like, if it costs the same as a GT3, for example.
Yeah, it's about 220, right? The fully loaded.
No, with the 3LZ, it was 180 US. Canadian dollars, the Z06 is 205, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, loaded.
Right? The Canadian dollar is
With the-
awful right now.
Yeah.
So
you're talking 187.
Well, that was American.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 187 American.
So
Mind
that
you,
works.
this car is not even on the configurator yet.
Yeah.
It's just released, right? So, okay. Anyways.
Should we be talking about the Z06 instead of the Z01?
Well, this is just his car, or this is your car, I guess,
Yeah.
and Eric's car. So let's just continue the cars that you chose.
So is it the stereotype thing? I mean,
I think it is.
Okay, so if you're offered this, or even a Z06 or a GT3, so you're going to get a car that outperforms it, you have to take money aside. Which one do you want to own?
Okay,
let's say the GT3 versus Z06. Probably the like for like.
That's a
dollar-wise.
more
Both 2-seaters,
Yeah.
like for like. Z06 or GT3.
definitely not the 992 GT3 RS.
so you'd have to compare it actually to
991.2 GT3.
no, it'd have
touring?
to be a 992 GT3, but you'd have to compare it to a similar spec. So this car only comes in PDK or
But I'm
dual clutch.
talking a Z06 with carbon ceramics.
and dual clutch.
Yep.
Yeah, so GT3 with the same
Okay.
specs basically, a PDK and ceramics. Which one do you choose?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
But why? What
mean-
makes it tough? You're going to an
Histor-
extra 180 horsepower in this, roughly? I don't
Yeah.
think I'm far off.
Well, the V8, that sounds mega.
170 horsepower. Yeah.
I think the sound is definitely better than a GT3.
Yep.
It's a better sound. It's not even debatable at this point.
So this is a flat plane
Yeah.
crank V8.
V8.
Yeah.
So now this is the only American
Right.
brand that
They're out
offers.
Ferrariing Ferrari right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And the nice thing about the motor in the Z06 is that it's not even a new motor. It's been in their race cars since 2019. So this is a proven motor.
Yeah.
It's not just
And Mustang is gone away from the flat plane.
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
come to that in a moment.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
another pick.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of pick, I mean, I have the GT3 RS. Every time I've been in the market looking for a sports car, I've always cross-shopped the Z06, Corvette Z06 in one variant or another. And every time I get into the interior, that's what throws me away. I'm like, okay, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Then I move over to the Porsche.
Do you feel that way about the C8?
I haven't sat in one yet.
Yeah.
So I drove just a Stingray on some laps. Like we did laps at in South Carolina or in Georgia actually, and it's a very balanced and easy car to drive.
The ZR1?
No,
No,
I just drove it was just a
C8.
C8 Stingray.
Okay.
Oh, like a Z51
Yeah,
package.
yeah. I mean, it's still a great sports car for the money. I think actually it's probably the best value sports car for the money these days.
Yeah.
But it's a great car. The cockpit, I mean, at first I was kind of I'm used to very European layouts where the dash is very central, straight, linear things, and this is not that. This is it's got a separation between the passenger and the driver. You've got a tilted screen. You've got a square steering wheel. So I don't like some of those things, but I think it works with the car. Like it matches the car's exterior styling. And other than the square steering wheel, I like it, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone dunks on that.
Yeah.
The square steering wheel.
Yeah.
It's in all, like it's the ZR1, it's in the base.
Yeah. But I think there's no business for the passenger to be looking at your controls and your display. Like that's you're driving the car.
Yeah.
You know,
Controlling
so
the music.
yeah. So I think tilting it towards the driver makes sense. It's also the tunnel between the driver and the passenger also resembles the new Ferrari kind of language lineup from the Roma and the new stuff coming out. So it's not really that foreign. I don't think it's timeless. It might look really old in 20 years and dated, but I think it matches the character of the car, and it's not a deterrent for me personally.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the interior quality's come a very long way since the C6, right?
Oh, huge.
Yep.
C7 and C8s were...
C7 was still pretty nice interior.
Yeah,
I mean, the one right there in red and black.
The red and black, that's C7.
That's a C7.
Yeah.
And it's still a nice interior.
Yeah.
I often think you also have to accept you're driving a sports car. This is not a Bentley or Rolls.
Yeah.
The price point
you can
reflects
forgive it.
that,
And
right?
yeah, and for the performance, you can forgive it.
You know, one of my friends he had an F80 M3. He upgraded to an M4 CSL, and he added a Z06 to the garage, and he's posting a lot of M4 content over the Z06 content, and it's getting a lot more views and likes and just engagement, because I think the BMW market is just that. It's a very enthusiast based platform. So naturally, the Corvette gets less attention in that matter.
Because the average Corvette owner doesn't have Instagram.
That's very true. Okay,
Right.
There's the stereotype.
That's a stereotype.
Yeah.
But I asked him. I said, simple answer: M4 CSL or Z06. You have
Is this
to.
Terry?
No, it's not. Someone who owns both.
okay.
I said you have to sell one: the M4 CSL or the Z06. And he didn't. He typed on his phone and he answered
Right away.
Z06. It's a much more engaging, fun car to drive. The sound is awesome. And surprisingly, because this is a Corvette, the steering is very impressive. I've even heard that it's got better steering than some European sports cars in the same class.
They're
It's
electric
been very
steering,
well
right?
reviewed.
Yeah.
An electric steering. It's not a hydraulic.
Yes. Well, I think every new car is electric steering. There is no hydraulic steering anymore.
Well, Amira is hydraulic.
That's an
Lotus.
exception. That's a very
Is that your second pick?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll come to the...
Yeah.
this. So, okay, let's wrap
So
up.
it's a great car.
I think we have consensus.
It's a great car.
For value. Now, we didn't say cheapest. We said value.
Yeah.
So for 180,000 or 190,000, you are getting world-beating performance. You're up with hypercars that I've listed. And I think Lucas has made some great points on it too.
Yeah.
Is that on your list as well?
Not the ZR1, but I think the stereotype does exist. And there's a small factor that keeps creeping at the back of my head when I open Auto Trader. I'm looking at these cars. Can I own a Corvette? That's the question that comes to mind. So I think really to kind of dismiss that thought, I have to go and drive one.
Yeah.
If you drive one, it's game over.
I think it's game over.
Yeah.
I think it is game over, to be
Hey,
honest.
speaking of Auto Trader, did you guys notice? I love what they did to both the app and the website, where you can now select trim Because in the past, you
Yeah.
could select Corvette.
Oh, okay.
You would get
Haven't played.
1,000 Corvettes that you didn't want, and now you can select Z06, ZR1.
So you can do that in Google search, to be honest.
Yeah, but I'm on the Auto Trader.
Okay.
So what I used to
or
do in
mobile.
Auto Trader was just put the keyword in the
yes.
Right. But then try to get that out. Like it would carry
Yeah.
over to all your other searches.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, I haven't been on it for a week yet.
Yeah, they just
so
they changed it in the last week.
I need to go get my fix.
Cold turkey, eh?
All right.
That's
What's number 2 for you?
Okay, number 2 is the Mustang GT350.
Yeah.
It's making a
The
huge comeback.
Great value.
Yeah. So it's being built ground up by Shelby.
Okay.
It no longer has the flat plane V8.
That I've read a little bit on that. That's very controversial. Not controversial, but a lot of people are
Disappointed.
disappointed. Yeah.
But there's a bit of a reason why they did that. I think a lot of the Mustang purists
They want low end torque.
well, low end torque and reliability,
Yeah.
long term.
Was the flat plane not reliable?
Well, they had issues,
Yeah.
and it's harder to manufacture. Repairing it, maintaining it is a lot difficult as well. So they wanted to go back to like the crossplane V8, and those are easier to manufacture, easier to maintain, easier to repair, easier to work on. And so purist Mustang owners wanted that engine back. The downside with that is it doesn't rev as high.
Right.
It doesn't go up to like
Doesn't
8,500.
sound as good.
It doesn't have that European sound to it,
Yeah.
like a
It's,
Ferrari
I wouldn't
sound.
say you're fine, but more refined V8 sound.
Yeah, exactly. So now the 350 is back to its roots in terms of what it is as a muscle car. Your typical American muscle car.
What do you think of the front face of that? Like it's kind of giving me like Challenger vibes or like the Dodge Charger styling language.
Yeah.
I didn't like that car, to be honest.
So here's the previous generation.
Yeah.
I think
I like that.
looks
Love it.
so much better.
So
Yeah.
just to, this is not a new car, obviously, the predecessor, but those ones, the older ones, they're going for $60,000.
Yeah, we shared. It was like a 2019. I think,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
But like low mileage, good condition, like that's $60,000-$70,000, and you have a really cool car.
Yeah. Very cool.
You know,
I can't remember if this was true. I think the GT350R,
R.
the track variant, had coilovers from factory.
I don't know that, to be honest.
I'm not sure, but I think what made it had carbon fiber wheels.
No, that's an option.
No back seats.
You deleted the back seat,
Yeah.
deleted the radio. That was an option for you to do that. But I believe it came with coilovers, so
Okay.
you can tune it the way you want it.
Possible.
I would do it in an
Yeah.
R format.
Yeah. Mind you, the R deleted rear seats. I know you're always a rear seat. You want to go pick up your parents from the airport in every car you buy. So
We did try to put them in a 911 before.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the front end on that compared to like it doesn't have any of the visual, the retro cues.
Yeah,
like
so-
that's amazing.
See, I don't mind the front end of the new Mustang, but I just find the Shelby variant is not aggressive enough. Like when I see the old 350
Oh yeah. Yeah.
versus a Mustang, the front is way more aggressive. This one looks like a GT. It looks like a Mustang GT with a nicer wing and some pinstripes.
So I've been reading on this as well, that it's got a carbon tub.
What?
Shelby's putting a carbon tub into this.
It's a unibody car, though. How's it? I mean, a tub.
I mean I guess the core of it.
So what? Do you open the door and then there's like
I was just reading. I need to look into the
Yeah.
details.
Maybe
of it, but
carbon pieces for reinforcement or something.
it's weird that they didn't do that on the GTD, which is a complete redesign, but they would do it on this.
Yeah.
I don't think Shelby's just getting Mustangs and they're modifying an existing.
Because these cars have the
Mustang body.
it's just a 5-liter Coyote motor in them, right? Yeah.
well, I think there's 3 variants. There's supercharged variant. There's
Yes.
the NA variant.
Yeah. The supercharged one is the GTD power. Yeah.
810 horsepower, it says. What was the GTD horsepower?
800 and some.
Was it 800?
So actually, they released a video. Top Gear went to Toronto, and they did a walkthrough of the GTD with the designers and everything else. And they went through some of the features and the official numbers. And one cool feature that I didn't even know about, he didn't mention when we were at the car show, is that it has the same hydraulic style suspension as the 4GT, where it just like drops on a dime. You can drop the car like 3 inches.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
yeah, it's very cool. And the push rod suspension, you can see it moving as it compresses. It's it's cool.
The tech in it is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep saying this, but I think they're taking a chapter out of the Porsche playbook.
Yeah. I remember, so like, again, this is not completely Ford, it's Multimatic. They've built cars for Ferrari. They've built cars for Aston Martin.
Not
They
the
did the Ford GT.
The Ford
completely.
GT. But the Aston, it's the Valkyrie, I think. That's Multimatic. A lot of parts from that car are Multimatic, design-wise.
That's cool.
They do the suspension for the GMC Canyon.
Yes, they do.
AT4X.
Yeah. So, all right. Shelby,
All right.
350.
Mustang GT350.
That's
great
it?
value. But I think I'll stay with my 2 for now,
Okay.
and I'll let you guys go into it.
All right.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll be a bit quicker because I also had the Corvette in terms of value. The one car that we saw at the Montreal Auto Show, actually didn't even talk about it, but I did think it was this is a very superficial review. Was the Lotus Amira.
Yes.
And I thought, so I went home after that day and I looked it up, and you go on the configurator and you build one. So if you did like the 6-speed with the Toyota 6-cylinder, you're going to get 400 horsepower in a Lotus handling package. The exotic looks on, if you could find one in red, it looks like a Ferrari. In terms of, and all of that at a price point of 130,000, where you would compete previously with the 911 before the 911 vacated that space and moved into the 200 right? Like if you're speccing out a 992.2, you're at 200K.
Yeah.
This is $130,000.
Yeah. Do you think it's a much more engaging car to drive just because it's
hydraulic
so
steering.
manual?
Yeah, the drive of it's been well reviewed. The critics would say, specifically in the 4-cylinder, the transmission's garbage. You have to.
Well, that's a Mercedes.
It's a Mercedes. Yeah,
Power plant.
but they say if you can get the software update, it makes it a little more palatable.
But you wouldn't want that anyways. I would take the V6 manual.
I would go with the V6 manual.
I
That's
think
how we would buy it.
anybody buying a car like this,
like a Lotus.
The Lotus wants a very raw experience.
Yes.
Right.
So you're going to choose the V6 and the manual.
You know, it's weird how, I don't know what Lotus was thinking with those lineups. They're like competing with each other because you've got the 4-cylinder with the automatic that I think it's 360 horsepower.
Yeah.
Then you've got the inline 6 manual, 400 horsepower, 0 to 60 time, and the 4-cylinder is quicker. It's a weird.
So it's interesting you say that because while in North America we appreciate the manuals a lot more, in Europe they don't really appreciate the manuals as much. They want the automatic.
I think
they want
I
the dual
disagree
clutch.
with it. Like if you go to rent a car in Europe,
Not
they're mostly
anymore.
manual.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh, did they
Like
change
5,
that?
10
Yeah.
years ago, I would agree that was the case.
Now it's most of them are automatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of the population want that track focused experience. So they were taken out to the Nürburgring. They have access to so many tracks. So they prefer a dual clutch or a good automatic over a manual nowadays.
Yeah.
But in North America, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a inflow of manual enthusiasts more.
Yeah. Well, just on this, what I would say is, the negatives on the Lotus Amira were like the interior quality.
Oh, that was the negative?
Yeah, that's what some of the
I think not so much from a appearance perspective. It's a great looking interior, but
I'm talking build quality.
Yeah,
not
when you review the parts
Fit
and
to
how they're
finish.
assembled,
Yeah.
Right.
there's still, there's some stitching on some panels, but it's not 100%. But again, you're buying this car for the driving aspect of it, not so much for how the panel feels when you close the door,
Yeah, it's built by a guy named Murray in the UK, hand built, right? Versus the Stuttgart factory. Yeah. But it's not half price of what a 911 is.
Yeah.
But what would you get? Like, what would be comparable? Like a 911T?
Yeah.
But I mean, think about like
actually, even a T, a good option
it's like
is
60
$200.
grand
No,
more.
not for price. I'm just saying for a 400 horsepower rear wheel manual base, not base,
Supra.
but like stripped
Supra.
down.
The Supra.
No, I was thinking in the 911 lineup.
Oh, so yeah, a base Carrera.
Yeah,
basically.
base Carrera, a T, and you're over 200,000 for those. This is 130,000. It looks way better than a 911.
Yeah.
Actually, what was it? It's interesting you say that because remember there was that reel by Supercar Blondie.
She hates Porsche.
She just says for the money you spend on it,
Yes.
it just doesn't scream
No.
fun or cool.
No, I disagree. I think the Porsche Carrera in general has a very traditional and authentic design and
It's
shape.
timeless, for
It's
sure.
timeless. I think what she's saying is that it's for the money you're spending, it just doesn't show.
I think her comment was at like a GT3 RS level, you're spending 400, 500,000. Here are the other cars that you could get.
That's true.
That are
Even,
superior
like,
in looks and
Yeah.
sound and a lot of different things. Plus, I think the wow factor. Like, I mean, sorry, the RS is not anti-wow. The new one is actually extremely, flamboyant in that aspect. It's got wings, DRS. It is aggressive looking, but it's still a Carrera body, I think, is what she's saying. They're all the same, right?
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to buy a 911.
Yeah, but she also reviews weird-ass cars. So I take her opinion with a grain of salt.
But yeah, coming back to the Amira. So a couple of things that really hurt it is its launch into the North American market. There were cars sitting on the dealership lots, people's like owners' cars.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't drive it because it didn't quite meet all the standards for North America. There were certain things that they had to still do.
Bumper safety or
I don't know.
how does that happen?
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. The whole launch was botched.
Yeah.
It was delayed by 2 years. And when it did come to North America, it sat in the dealership lot for 8 months, 6 months to 8 months. People couldn't get their cars.
Did you have money on one of these?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay.
I still do.
Cybertruck, this, what else?
That's
Range Rover.
Oh, yeah, right.
Range Rover, okay.
I'm spreading the wealth.
Yeah.
Well, something will come too. But I agree with you. I think this is great value as well.
Yeah. For what it is, I think it looks great. So that's that plus the Corvette were my picks.
I didn't choose the ZR1 just because it's not really released yet. I think the Z06 is actually better value. Because you're getting the same car visually, very close to the same car. I mean, it doesn't have the same ducting and cooling and an aggressive hood and the supercharger, but you're getting an excellent motor, a lot of power, good sound.
Okay, so what's the price on a Z06?
So
Well spec'd. Canadian 205.
If you want to load it 200,000, but you can get them for like brand new for 180, like 180 for a Z06.
But the way you'd want it spec,
Yes,
Carbon
205.
ceramic brakes.
Yes.
205.
Okay, 205, and then
Canadian.
and then a ZR1 would be probably 280 to 300.
I think closer to 300. Yeah,
300.
yeah. So it's a big jump over the Z06, and it's really you see the perform. I'm not even sure if it's going to sound better.
The supercharger.
I'm not sure how that'll
You get that supercharger whine.
maybe.
But I agree with you. I think the naturally aspirated. Actually, is it naturally
It
aspirated?
is. The Z06 is NA.
I would prefer that.
Yeah.
The power delivery would be so much more.
It's
linear.
more than anyone ever needs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like 670 horsepower, like is insane.
But I think it's the power delivery.
Yeah.
It's so much more linear.
Yeah.
It'll feel safer.
Yeah.
You know, the previous generation ZR1, people complained that it was always trying to kill them with this, on the low end.
Yeah.
Just applied throttle, it's going to want to swing out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a naturally aspirated engine would just be a little bit more predictable.
I think that more had to do with front engine rear wheel drive.
Yes.
That's probably
That was a
trying to cram 1,000 horsepower
A rear drive front
into
engine
that
car.
package.
Yeah. But even let's say we don't spec it to the gills and it's 180,000 for like a nice, just a base model Z06, which is not really base. It's still a great, it's like a loaded Corvette. Compared to the Amira for 130, it's not much more than an Amira, and like you're getting a lot more car too, right? So there's a lot of value in that car, in my opinion. So obviously that's my first choice. Second one is the G80 GT2 M3 M4.
Ooh.
Because it's about $140,000, and you get a lot of performance. Like this car with a simple tune is pulling with turbo S's. Like it's a very high performing sports sedan with all wheel drive now, so you can toggle the system from rear to all wheel drive. Very easy to tune.
Yeah.
A lot of aftermarket support in terms of exhaust and intakes and all that kind of stuff. And very usable because you're getting a 4-door sports sedan with all-wheel drive, and a lot of power from the box. Not to mention the tuning capabilities.
Yeah.
Can you pick the second from the left and the top? The yellow and the green. Now, tell me how you feel about the grills now, because when that came out, it was all our chat talked about.
Yes, totally.
For 2 months.
Yeah. And I still don't love it, to be honest. Like those stock ones look the worst in my opinion. If you go to the black one by Auto ID, not that one. I actually prefer the stock bumper. Like that one looks much better. When you change the grille to a nicer design and you add a lip and you lower it, the car automatically looks better. Do I like the design of the bumper and the grille more than, let's say, my F80? No, I don't. But as a great value sports car, I think it is, because it does. Other than the styling, if you don't like the styling of the front, it's got everything going for it.
See, it never bothered me.
No,
I thought it was nice that BMW was trying to do something different from what they had, 3 generations back, right, or even longer.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do something different to cater to a slightly different market as well, to bring more appeal.
Yeah.
People argued that they're copying the Audi grill.
Yeah.
Single frame grill or whatever.
Yeah.
But I liked it. It was very aggressive, like you say, with the little mods. Shout out to Auto ID, awesome kits that they offer as well.
So are they a sponsor?
Oh, they are.
Okay. Yeah, they are on Propose M2.
On the M2, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you would say that even if they weren't a sponsor.
They'll be a sponsor then. Yeah. But anyways, great value for the money.
Do they do anything for Porsches?
I've been trying to say
No, not
do
yet.
something. They don't do it
No.
yet. But see, that's the thing though. When you compare like you say, BMW and the Porsche world in terms of modding and styling mods, BMW has
endless.
There's so many options. It's such a huge market that just getting into the 911 market is such a small niche relatively that a lot of these styling companies, they're not quite willing to jump into it.
Yeah, it's a lot of R&D and investment for not much sales in return, right? So they're just not pursuing that direction. Andro is actually pursuing Andro Designs.
They did GT3.
They did a GT3 Aero kit, which is I was surprised because it's not just little small pieces. It's a entire front apron, skirts, rear bumper diffuser, a lot of parts, the wing, the end plates.
See, I always question that now. So when Porsche does these GT cars, they talk about how every single thing is so precise. Yeah. Like fins underneath the car, the wing, the front lip, all of it's tied together, right? And then there's Mante Racing that takes it to the next level, and they're kind of tied in closely with Porsche, and they do R&D to make sure that Aero is about bringing more downforce and so on. So when these aftermarket companies come out with these kits, how much R&D goes into the Aero side to bring downforce that's usable?
Yeah. I mean, I think someone buying a GT3, I think Andrew's trying to slide into that MR bracket.
Maybe do what MR was doing before.
Maybe. Because even there, if you pull it up, I'm not sure if there's a picture
or
of that.
Or are they not even, maybe they're not going, are they going after the GT car market?
It's strictly the GT3.
Oh, it is the GT car.
Yeah. So like a lot of Aero stuff, the wing is much bigger. It's got a huge rear diffuser, but I think a lot of these things are really aesthetic.
Just visual.
And I don't think they actually affect any of the performance other than the wing being larger. I don't think the diffuser or the front apron has anything to do with performance, to be honest.
They're just
but if you were buying and you were looking to enhance your car performance-wise, you'd probably take the peace of mind of Mante Racing, right?
Yeah,
because it's also like they're changing the geometry of your suspension, the alignment, everything has changed to work in unison.
Yeah, I think the Mante is more of like an OEM plus alternative to modding the car. This is the nice thing about this kit is what I like about it is that it uncheapens the finishes.
Yeah,
because the GT3,
a lot of plastic.
There's a lot of plastic there, and I get it. It's a track car. It's meant to be abused, and like rocks flinging off the track, and then replaced easily with new parts for low cost. But if you're street driving the car, like it's plastic at the end of the day. But
you know why it is plastic? They're consumables.
Yeah, of course.
So when they're on track, that thing gets beat up.
Yeah.
And so for majority of owners that actually use it for what it's meant for,
which is like 2%.
yeah,
Yeah.
they tear it off, put a whole new thing in.
Yeah.
It's $500.
Yeah.
It's no different than that guy that buys the snorkel for his Tacoma.
First Tacoma, yeah.
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 Never uses it. Just looks cool.
And gets his widow wadder.
Yeah. But anyways,
cool.
it's there's options.
But yeah, I mean, the G82.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
It's a
For sure.
great value.
It does a lot for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, then I could argue also that the G87 M2 is even better value, just because it's under 100 grand.
So I was
Yeah, that's a good
debating
point.
choosing the M2. The only reason I didn't is because it's not all-wheel drive and it's a two-door. I find you have much more use out of the M3 if you're buying one car to fill all those needs. The M2 is definitely like you're saving yourself
60 grand.
Well, no, I'm talking like 140, 150 is a loaded M3. You can get one for 115, 120. So it's not that much more than
But it's the same motor in the M2.
Same motor,
the
just
M3.
detuned a
Same
little
suspension.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically the same.
In a lighter package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not as
No, it's
light.
about, actually, I think it's the same weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or maybe it's even a little bit heavier.
The M2 is heavier than a four-door M3.
Well, it's not anywhere.
It's like pounds.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not, it's the same
Alright.
weight. Yeah.
So, I mean, they shrank the car, but it still remained the same weight as the M3, M4.
And then my last one, I chose 3 because we discussed 3.
I didn't get to 3.
Okay.
No, but go
I
ahead.
thought about this one real hard, and the FT86 Toyota.
Yeah.
In terms of sports car and value, this car outsold the Supra, the Subaru. It outsold them all together in sales. Like it had the most sales last year, but I think it's like $26,000.
Yep.
And you have a manual 2-door coupe.
Front engine, rear wheel
Front
drive.
engine, rear wheel.
Yeah.
It's
Manual.
great for autocrossing, manual.
Yeah.
It's not a rocket ship, but it's a great, fun sports car.
What is it, like 200 horsepower now?
I don't know the specs on
I think it's
the.
like 180.
Yeah, I'm not
No,
sure.
I think they hit 200 now.
Do they?
Yeah, they're over 200, I believe. But I think it's also looks great. It's a very proportioned car. A lot of aftermarket support for the chassis as well.
Yeah, if I was a young person getting into cars, this is a great start.
$31,000.
$31,000.
American.
American.
Yeah, it's a cool car. Probably very moddable.
Yeah.
228 horsepower. That's
Oh, wow.
that's
The first version of this, when it came out,
was
it
like
was just
180.
under. Yeah.
There was a lot of complaints about the first version of this car, and I think they tried to even slap on turbos, and it just wasn't working.
it's a GR86 version.
Yeah.
Comes at 228 horsepower.
The first gen was a 2-liter.
Yeah.
So they now upgraded to the 2.4. That gives you that extra power.
Yeah.
That's
Now is that the top of the level, top of the
I think there's one.
GR86.
There's one motor for this car.
Okay.
I think it's just trim levels afterwards, right? But 6-speed automatic is also available.
I think this will pave the way because I was excited to hear the Toyota Celica is coming, making a comeback. So I wonder if they're just not buoyed by confidence of this performing so well.
Well, this was a partnership with Subaru.
Yep.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if that partnership still exists. Maybe the reason the Celica is coming out, or Celica, however you pronounce it, is because there's no more FT86. So I'm not sure what direction that's going into. I'm assuming since their partnership is over,
It's
they're
done.
just that model will be discontinued.
What is it? What was the merger? That was Toyota? No, it was Honda.
Mitsubishi,
And
and Nissan.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Toyota's out of the equation there. Okay. Yeah, I think I agree.
I
with
think
this.
it's a great value car.
So again, it's one of those cars for the price point. It makes sense. I sat in one. I drove one, and the interior quality is not quite there.
Again, it's $30,000.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers.
You have to take into consideration what it's priced at.
It's a complaint. Where do I put my gray Poupon while I'm in here?
A Poupon? What's a Poupon?
Gray Poupon.
Great Poupon.
It's a fancy mustard.
Yeah.
You never seen that
He
commercial?
doesn't know. He doesn't
Why do you
understand.
take mustard when you're driving?
Probably you're so
Whoa,
young.
it's just like, where's my caviar? Like,
Yeah.
You're driving.
doesn't matter. It's expensive stuff.
You don't remember this commercial? It was a car was it a car commercial?
Yeah, it was, I think.
Or no, or was it for the mustard?
Maybe it was for the mustard.
It was a
but-
guy pulls up at a stoplight in like a fancy Rolls Royce, rolls down the window and says, "Excuse me, sir, do you have any Grey Poupon mustard?" No?
Okay, I have to watch this.
All right.
me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
Oh, thank you. Are you putting Grey Poupon on a wiener?
No, it's not a wiener. It's a frankfurter.
Oh.
Why? Is that a bologna sandwich you're applying my Grey Poupon to?
That's Bologna.
Bologna.
Wiener.
Grey Poupon, also in a squeeze bottle.
Yeah.
We'll
Well, the
look it up.
guy in the
We're
FT86 is like, no, I only have Frenches. You know.
Actually, there's a point I wanted to make about the M3. So I think it's kind of the generation is coming to an end now. There's
How so?
Isn't there a new generation of M3s that's being spied?
It's not. It's like 2 years away still.
Really, eh?
The LCI just came out, so there's 2 more years of the M3.
Okay, so we won't go into that then.
Yeah.
Okay, all three. Do you have
All right.
anything else?
No, I had my two. I have disappointment.
Disappointing cars.
Yeah, let's move on to the next
Sure.
thing then.
Okay,
Do you want to go or shall I go?
you go. Why don't we stay in the order?
Okay, so the one that I'm kind of disappointed about is the 718 replacement.
It's not really confirmed though yet.
It's not. That's why I have hope. But all the news that's come out so far, or like let's say a week ago, this was supposed to be an all EV 718 replacement. But the reason I still have hope is that they've been rolling back.
I think they are stepping away from that.
Yeah.
EV sales have been tanking across the board. Volkswagen is in a lot of trouble now because they have to pump out EVs and sell them, and they can't.
Yeah.
So I think the whole EV market is just coming down.
North America only, it seems. Europe is taking on, or they're receiving it well, a bit more. Maybe there's more incentive. I don't know.
I mean, Volkswagen's a European
I think
brand.
it's probably regional even if you looked at North America, whereas California probably 1 in every 3 cars is electric versus you come up to like northern US or Canada, it's 1 in every 10 cars
Yeah.
is electric.
So yeah, it was one of those disappointing ones for me.
I think it looks cool like at that, but yeah, if it was a naturally aspirated motor.
The car does look good. Though I do not like the new hybrid 911 models and those grills.
Can I get into mine? Because
Okay.
we're already into that conversation. Because my biggest disappointment was the 992.2 GTS, 911 GTS.
I agree.
Yeah.
I thought, what have you done here? The formula for the GTS was all the options you want, nothing you don't. Kind of certainly not bare bones, but
a well-equipped.
they put a high.
It was a well-equipped enthusiast package.
Right. And now they've gone to a hybrid drive system where you can't get, it's only PDK. I think you've mentioned it before as a really good criticism. Like you went from an analog dash, any part of the dash being to all digital screens. It's a heavy car. That you just messed with the formula. And I think I think I'm over the 911, just the newer 911s anyways, be it the buyer experience, be it the product lineup.
Yeah.
The pricing.
Talk about Supercar pricing that Supercar Blondie talks about.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that because I'm kind of in a similar boat of the I'm out scenario. Because sure, if you had unlimited amount of money, you're just flowing in, you have a money tree out in your backyard or whatever, and it doesn't matter to you, fine, you could keep buying these cars. But to your point, I think they're starting to feel overpriced for what they are.
Although they're not.
It doesn't, even if I hadn't, Lotto Max winnings, I would not buy the 992.2 GTS T with the T hybrid. It doesn't, if it was 200,000 or 300,000, I'm still not buying that car.
So here's, I'm trying to look at it from the other perspective. So the 991 generation, there's a lot of criticism that the GTS of that generation didn't differentiate itself enough from the Carrera S. So when people looked at it and went like, why do I want a GTS? There's nothing so special.
No, there was a lot of, the bumpers were different,
Center
the center
locks.
locks, the trim work, the stitching inside, the Alcantara seating. There's a lot of stuff that was different.
But you go back a generation before that, like when you take the 997 generation. The
You got
GTS,
the power kit, the
wide
center lock
body,
wheels,
rear wheel
wide
drive.
body.
There's a lot more differentiation there that made that.
Yeah,
GTS.
but that's been an ongoing trend throughout the generations. The same way the 992.2 GT3 and Carrera all use the same front bumper. There's no more differentiation.
And that's a good. Also the GTS. It doesn't look
It looks
discernible
horrible.
from a base
It looks
Carrera.
horrible. I think, to be honest, the base Carrera is more attractive
Yes.
than the GTS
Yeah.
because it comes with a non-hybrid motor.
Yeah.
The only downfall is that it has an only on automatic. Again, there's no manual in the base Carrera.
So here's the thing. So I don't know what they're doing. They're kind of playing this sort of mix and match game here. So the 911T now comes with a 6-speed manual
Yes.
with a turbo 3 liter
Non-hybrid.
non-hybrid
Yeah.
engine. I think that's going to be
The winning formula for them.
That's a better
Yeah.
recipe than
Yeah.
the GTS.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think it replaces what the GTS was previously. The only downside with the T is the options. You don't get a lot.
No brakes.
You don't get the ceramic brakes. The paint options are
They
limited.
used to.
No.
They used to.
No
Yeah,
brakes.
used to.
Brakes were never an option on the T.
Yes, my friend had a
991s,
911 Carrera T
yeah.
with carbon ceramics
Dot
and,
2?
and buckets. A 991
Well,
dot
maybe I
two.
don't know about the dot
Courier
2.
T never had carbon
The
ceramic
dot
option.
ones had it.
Dot ones?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
telling you,
possible.
I've driven this car.
Yeah.
And it had it.
So dot twos I know didn't have it. So it must have been dot one.
So the reason why they did that, or I think the dot 2, maybe I can't remember if the 991s were like that or not, but the 992, there was a shortage of ceramic brakes. Therefore, they limited which cars got them. They reserved it for the turbos,
Or did the GT cars,
the
obviously.
GT cars, and so on.
Yeah.
So the T's never got that treatment.
Yeah.
So even now,
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't they be caught up?
So the thing is about the brakes is the 911T didn't even get the Carrera S sized brakes. They got the base model brakes.
Yes.
They were the undersized brakes on the base Carrera.
Well, the previous generation GTS came with the turbo brakes, which were bigger rotors.
Yes.
But yeah,
The T never even had the Carrera S brakes.
I guess they would say not enough power, or
yeah, it was like, you're right, 350 horsepower for
Yeah.
the 991.
you don't need the
Yeah.
big brake
Yeah.
kit.
Maybe.
But maybe it's an opportunity to mod it. And
Maybe it was
upgrade
also just to fit it within the pricing, brackets. They didn't want to start slapping expensive options on a affordable model, affordable model,
Yeah.
to bring it into like GTS territory. Yeah,
Even then, it's 2010
yeah.
for proper spec.
Yeah.
Carrera T.
And I think we can all agree, even you two owning Porsches, that you take a Z06 over that car.
For that money, yes.
Yes, I would.
I thought about wanting to get a 911 as a winter beater to take it all around, buy brand new.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Have a tent on the roof.
Yeah, all those things.
Big dreams. Big
But-
dreams.
But I've been, priced out of that dream now.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to spend $210,000 on a 911 for winter use.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
So
make sense.
disappointment. It's disappointment
better
for the
for
new
display.
generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so-
I said the GTS, but I think, you could apply it overall, but specifically the
Okay.
GTS is a fail.
So those were your picks, or do you have any more?
I had another
have
one that
more,
I'm disappointed
But let's all
in,
go one at a time, and then we'll keep adding.
I'm disappointed in not actually a sports car, but I think there was potential because Jeep's been on a decline.
If you say this, I'm going to...
Jeep's been on a huge decline with their TJ and Rubicon, all those cars, and they had an opportunity to make a comeback with the Wagoneer. Okay, because the Wagoneer,
Wait, did you both have the same pick?
the Wagoneer was priced extremely high.
How did you guys think the same?
I don't know. I just thought about it because we saw it at the car show and I was like, what is that? I didn't even know this car came out, to be honest. I saw it at the car show and I was like, wasn't the Wagoneer a big block? Like that one there.
It's like this guy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
that was-
2024.
That was a great one.
No, the one above it, in the charcoal, for example, right
this
there.
guy, yeah.
So that was the Wagoneer. And it was a 5.7 Hemi. It was is meant to compete with like an Escalade or something larger, of Yukon Denali, that kind of category. $130,000 or $40,000 truck, tanked like crazy. Didn't get the sales they thought it would get. So what do? They rebrand the Wagoneer as a full EV.
Yep.
Okay. So there's one in my pick as well in a similar thing. I don't understand that.
Okay.
I don't get it either. And to be honest, if you go to the photo of it, it actually looks good. It's a good, not that one, the new one on the left. Yeah.
That one.
It's a good looking
Yep.
SUV. I think if that had a proper motor and nice trim work, it would actually be a decent SUV.
So I had more broadly like the Grand Cherokee and Wagoneer. that we're 4 years into this this revamp.
Yeah.
We have no SRT.
Yeah.
What the heck? But they give us this electric version that no one wants.
Okay.
The SRT was such a desirable SUV because you have a 700 horsepower SUV.
Well, that's the Trackhawk. I'm just thinking the SRT would be 480.
Sure. But it's a high performance SUV that competed with like X5Ms.
So look the part.
Yeah. And now you have this.
And
I have a perfectly good reason
okay, go ahead.
for why that might be the case for the American cars.
Okay.
I think it's government regulations pushing them to do this because they've had this mandate for the 2035, right? To say by this time you have to have EVs. Majority of them are EVs or whatever. So what do you do as a brand, right? Like if you have no EVs in the lineup, you got to start picking and choosing.
Well, but you would across the whole lineup. Well, we just sell more Fiat 500 EVs.
Yeah.
We'll give them
EVs.
away.
Yeah.
Oh, this
or the
Stellantis.
Dodge Dart
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think that whole Stellantis division is it's going south in every brand they own.
they need to
I
carve that
agree.
up.
Yeah.
The sum of the parts is not greater
Yeah.
than
It's
the
not
whole.
adding up at all. They have a new CEO.
Yeah. The one thing I'll add too, but Jeep Grand Cherokees, it used to be a really good selling car. So I pulled some numbers. So in 2019, so 5 years, so this is pre-COVID, like craziness, they sold 255,000 Jeep Grand Cherokees.
In 1 year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Great. Like it's a
Great
big
number.
They are, I couldn't find 2024. It'll be less than the number I'm going to give you, but they dropped down to about 200 and just over 200,000. So almost 15% drop
Decline.
5 years later off that. No one's buying them. This was not a success. And they just seem to be doubling down on what's not working.
I think with what's the political landscape of what's taking place in the US right now, I think a lot of things are going to be changing on that front. I think we're going to start seeing.
I think we all love that executive order on the EV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They basically canceled it.
Yeah.
They did, but I'm looking at like Jeep as a brand, and you're talking about the mandates and everything else, and then I'm looking at like GM. They're shoving 6.2 liter V8s, supercharged V8s in their Escalade V.
See, they played the game well.
They played it very well. GM is on a roll. They're doing all the right things, and that's why they're the most. I think they're doing the best out of the domestic brands.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So they're doing something right. Someone is calling the shots and doing it right. Jeep is not clearly.
Well, I mean, what other brands are in the Stellantis group? It's Fiat,
Yeah.
Maserati, Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo. Yeah.
All these brands are struggling under that umbrella.
Did you see the video of Aziz? He has the.
Oh, yeah.
He's driving the what's the Alpha called? The small SUV.
The not the Julia, the
small SUV, the one that John hates.
Tonale.
Yeah,
The
and he's
Tonale.
like
Tonale.
Tonale. It's basically a
Dodge
Fiat,
Dart.
a Dodge Dart.
Yeah.
So he's driving
Actually,
this
he
car.
loves it.
No, he doesn't.
On the record.
Who loves it?
John.
John
John loves
will
it?
watch us. He'll put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Fact check that.
John loves the car. Anyways, he's Aziz is driving it, and he's like, Alfa Romeo owners love drama. They love the drama of things breaking on the road, of the hatch not opening when you want it to open.
No, they call them quirks.
Quirks, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
It's
so
part of living
that's one
with
of
an
my
Alpha.
disappointments.
Yeah.
The other one is not a specific car, to be honest. It's almost competitive brands. I mentioned the G80 and G82 before, as sports sedans, great value for money. What happened to Mercedes and Audi?
Yeah.
Because those were the trio.
Yeah.
Like the B5 S4, RS4, the Mercedes CC63. Those were like really competitive and great sports sedans 5-6 years ago. And now I find like there's nothing. You buy an Audi S4, it doesn't feel not even close to be competitive to an M3.
And I can't follow the nomenclature on their cars anymore.
I don't understand why they had to do that.
So even numbers are electric and odd numbers are not.
Are
Is
ICE.
that
For Audi, you mean?
internal? Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
So you will see like an RS5 Avant, and it's really like what
It's
we
like an
think is an
RS6.
SF or a RS4.
Or RS.
Yeah, it's not as
In
big
Europe.
as the
Now we're
6.
confused.
In
right?
Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
See, I don't.
Awful.
I think Audi's lost its way. I've been such a pro Audi person. I've owned Audis my entire life in the car world, not my entire life, but as long as I've been able to drive, I've owned Audis and so on. And all of what they have in their lineup now, I don't like it. None of it I desire for.
Yeah.
So
The
you
R8
have the SQ5 right now.
Yes.
Will you keep it when the lease
No.
is over?
I was going to keep it,
Okay.
but
You're disappointed in the drive, or?
I'm disappointed in the drive, the quality too.
So I was following another. I mean, you have the car. I haven't driven it, but I was behind an SQ5 yesterday. It's got quad exhaust. So I thought
no,
they're just plastic faux tips.
Right. And there's turn downs.
Yeah, they're turn downs.
But I think is the audio or is the exhaust piped in through audio?
yes,
With the SQ5.
Yeah.
SQ5.
Yeah, but that aside, I mean that's a modern car thing. You can disable it or keep it, whatever the case may be. But it doesn't even have tips.
Yeah.
This is an SQ5 model. This is not like a base.
Yeah.
So they
Q5.
changed that with the new generation, the SQ5
Yeah.
and all that's coming out. They're going away with that,
Yeah.
which is super welcome, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Audi's lost its way in my view.
Like Mercedes with the C-Class. I know they tried to push this 4-cylinder performance model. Nobody bought it.
No,
Okay.
they learned their lesson.
Maybe, but I'm kind of sad, even though I'm glad BMW is getting all the performance and all the enthusiasts jumping on the bandwagon. I kind of missed the competition because
Yeah.
it was fun to see what these cars
They
came
made
up
each
with.
other better, right?
Yeah, of course. That's part of the challenge. Is like, what do we do to supersede the RS4 or whatever the case may be? Now there is no competition. Like you name a sports sedan, there's
That's
just
true.
an M3.
Yeah, that's right. Like the Audi, Mercedes, BMW, they will go head to head on all these things, right? They'll bring their M4.
Yeah.
Mercedes will have their C63. Audi will have their RS5 or RS4.
Yeah.
And it was just always fun to watch, right?
It was. I almost.
I remember like that heyday in the early 2000s where you'd have like the M5, you'd have the S8,
Yeah.
then you'd have the
transporter car.
Yeah.
and then the Mercedes CLK 63.
Okay,
Not
that's a
the
two-door,
CLK.
but there's an
No, not the
E63 or
CLK.
E55 at the
Yeah,
time.
E55 or E like competing
Yeah.
for they don't have that now.
No.
Nope.
Right.
Well, I mean,
So the RS6, I think, is the RS7, RS6 from Audi still competes with the M5, and it's a great car. I think that's the last car they have that's really good. They have nothing else other than that really, competes in any other any other cars.
the replacement for the RS6 and the RS7, or let's say RS7, because odd numbers are ICE now, I won't have a V8. It'll be a V6.
Yep.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. Anyways, it's just it's unfortunate the direction it's taking.
When we look at some numbers, it'll probably explain what's happening there too, in my view. Before we leave this, I know we're 55 minutes in.
Okay.
I just wanted to touch on two, or actually, I'll pick a few. But another disappointment for me is the Huracan replacement.
The Temerario.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I don't know much about this car because we've only seen it. The biggest complaints I have so far from I mean, not from myself, but from the internet, is that they lost the V10.
Yes.
That's not necessarily a bad thing because there could be great V8s.
Yeah.
I don't think the V10 was a great motor. It sounded fantastic.
It's still a high revving
It's
V8.
still a high revving V8, so I don't think that's too much of a con. The styling, I mean, it still looks good. I think it has more Gallardo vibes than Huracan vibes. The hexagon fog lights are DRLs. I mean, that's stupid. Don't take it out.
Yeah.
But other than that,
The headlights look like regular traffic. Like
yeah.
I think that was the same when we looked at the Urus as well. The redesign of the Urus.
Yeah.
The headlight.
Similar sort of design language.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not knocking on it that much.
I'm waiting till it comes out
Yeah.
and we see some reviews.
Yeah.
Because right now, I've seen it on a podium at a car show or at,
Maybe let's talk about one we've seen in person.
this.
The Dodge, what is it called? Challenger? Was it?
Charger.
Charger?
It's just, to me,
I don't
it's
even
just
know
a computer on wheels now.
It's gone full EV.
Yeah.
Just like the Wagoneer.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand it. Like
Yeah.
this used to be a Hemi V8.
Sorry, you can no longer get a
No.
non-E.
It's gone.
Talk about hating your customer.
I know, right? How do you go from selling SRT models throughout the brand to this?
This just shows management on decision makers are so disconnected
Yeah.
with what the customers really want.
Listen,
The Contrast to that is Porsche, where they're constantly listening and iterating.
We just said they're
We just
not.
talked about the GTS.
I'm talking about GT3. Forget
Sure.
the price
Okay,
point.
sure.
Forget the price point for a moment.
Yeah.
But in terms of how they deliver products, they're listening and iterating on the product, right? Sure, price point and all that, that's beyond Andreas Proninger's like domain, right? He can't control that. But in terms of him listening and giving the customers what they're asking for, like back seats and then
Sure.
GT3.
Yeah, I get
they
it.
finally
Okay,
delivered.
so
Yeah.
interesting.
But like,
No one was asking for an EV charger.
No.
Nobody.
Nobody.
one is going to put that on 120 monthly payments of $1,400
for life.
for life. Yeah, no one's doing that with this car. You put a Hemi in there,
Yeah.
scat pack.
It's just
They're
I don't
lining
understand the direction they're taking. It doesn't add up to me. Maybe the numbers have something to do with it, or maybe the position they're in. Maybe the mandates. But what is this?
Is that the concept for
The 918
90?
replacement.
Oh,
It's full EV.
never mind.
Okay.
Why
Another.
have they not seen the how Rimacs are tanking?
So
Like,
I know.
I'm hoping, because they've been rolling back on this decision to go EV, that they will put a nice V8 or inline or a Boxster engine or something.
do you think
in
they'll
there.
put a V10 in it again? That'd be cool.
So interesting you say this, because I think Porsche has an opportunity with the North American market. The European market, tough as hell to get into.
Sure.
But I think the North American market, they can deliver cars like this and still be profitable.
Yeah. Like this can be the new Cura GT.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had a car like that since the GT, and it's kind of like this, the
Yeah.
Sorry, and you say that because you think the 918's hybrid powertrain disqualifies it.
a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's not quite living up to the GT
I
vibes.
think the order of the day, though, because all the Holy Trinity
Yeah.
was like that. McLaren P1 was hybrid.
Yes.
The
But for some reason, like
LaFerrari.
whenever I watched a video or a comparison to those cars, the 918 never seemed to stir the same emotion as a P1 or a
That's true.
LaFerrari.
Yeah.
It just didn't. Maybe it was because it was silver. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just, for some reason, I would take the other two before the 918.
But one thing about this car is it's super reliable, right?
Yeah.
In terms of just being able to drive it and not worry.
But who cares if it's
Yeah.
reliable?
Yeah.
Like it's meant to be a
like,
supercar.
the great thing about this car is you can pay $2 million for it, and a year later, it's only worth $1 million.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
If you like to lose money, this is a
a
great,
great
car to
car.
buy.
Oh, I mean EV in
Yes.
the
Yeah,
EV
that's what I'm
form.
saying.
Oh, sure,
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
So this is obviously a concept. So it's hopefully this is not really coming.
I think the final will have some sort of internal combustion.
If the
engine.
final even comes, to be honest.
Yeah, it's true.
So far, it seems like this generation they're cutting a lot of costs in the GT cars, not so much in the RS, but in the GT3, I find like it's a cutthroat line of where they have to save a lot of money.
The form of this car is beautiful.
It is beautiful. It looks like a Le Mans car from the front.
It does, especially those headlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
I think it's going to be exciting
Yeah.
to see this in the flesh.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Yep.
I know we're cracking into the hour mark now.
Yep.
But in terms of sales numbers, there are some insights that I captured that I thought I'd get your feedback and thoughts on as well. So I wanted to stay in the Porsche world for a moment.
Okay.
So looking at the Porsche 911
Sales.
they were up 20%.
Worldwide?
Just in North America.
Porsche as a brand, you mean?
No, the 911.
911, okay.
911. They're up 20% in North America, and they were only up 2% in the European market.
Oh, wow.
So there's something happening in the North American market that I think Porsche is tapping into with the 911s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's up 20%.
But is it? Can you dissect the brands and see?
I don't know which variant,
Yeah.
but just not all the 911s as a whole.
Hmm.
They've sold approximately 14,000 units
Okay.
in
In North America.
in that 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was North America. 50. Whoa. So in Europe, they sold 50,000 units.
Okay. Well, there's your answer.
Yeah.
It's just the smaller denominator, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought that was interesting. The other interesting fact is the Taycan. They tanked
Yeah.
Big time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So globally, I think someone was saying it was like 49% or 40% of their EV sales dropped in 2024 compared to 2023. But that was primarily attributed to the Chinese market.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because
That's Nissan's collapse too, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But what's interesting when you then split it to the North American and European market, there's a 15% drop on the Taycans in North America and 12% drop in Taycan. So relatively, like the world as a whole outside
is rejecting
the EVs.
Yeah.
When you guys hear these numbers, like inside, do you get a little happier?
Yeah, I do.
Does that make me a
I
bad
actually do.
person? Well,
You know the main reason I don't dislike the idea of an electric car. I have electric tools. I have I have an electric blower over a gas one. I find it's more convenient to use. There's a certain things that I do think that they're better for. I just pushing it to the on enthusiasts in this format is just unnecessary. Like why am I paying $2 million for an EV hypercar? Like that's not meant to be an EV. Like Eric was saying, next time put it in a Hummer, put it in all these cars that are just
not performance,
and local commuters,
gas guzzlers.
Right. It makes more sense. Or the opposite, even like the small little minute smart cars, make those electric, I'm glad that they're not prospering the way they thought they were going to do,
Yeah.
It's a bit of a told you so.
And I think these numbers are what's probably getting the execs at Porsche going like, yeah, maybe EV's not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Going all in on it. We're just going to go bankrupt or whatever. So numbers are good.
Yeah, numbers are good.
Yeah.
From an enthusiast
It's
perspective.
funny. You can legislate supply. You cannot legislate demand.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can
No
tell them
matter
not
how
to make
much
them.
you put at it. Yeah.
They're sitting on lots.
The other insight, moving away from the Porsche, I think BMW has been doing really good. They were actually not the greatest, but they're not as bad. They're overall good, but nothing crazy to talk about there. I think BMW is kind of on a nice trajectory. But to your point about Audi and Mercedes, Audi is tanking in all these markets. They were down 10% in the North American market. They were down 5% in the European market. And I mean, it explains, the numbers explain it. Like the demand for the Audi brand in general is.
I think the Q3 is the only model that actually did better in sales.
Yeah, combined.
Yeah.
It outsold everything else.
Yeah.
Do you think that's also part of the economic headwinds? Like these are premium brands. They cost more.
Yeah.
They're driving people away from an Audi into a Honda dealership.
I think that's part of the fact. Like for example, the Genesis brand. They're competing. I mean, it used to be Hyundai. Then after they separated to be Genesis, now they have a lot of well-equipped SUVs that are competing with Q5s and Q7s for $30,000 less.
Yeah.
And people they like nice cars, they like nice things, but really it comes down to the payment you're making on a lease on that car. And if it's $800 cheaper than the Q7 and it gives you the same Android Auto and leather seating and nice wheels and
do that.
And the numbers look similar, 400 horsepower.
it's a daily driver, then you're going to buy the Genesis.
Yeah.
Well, the Q5 dropped 7% last year.
Yeah.
So they only did 40,000 units. And I think they did, either way. I mean, you could see it with the fit and finish and the quality of the materials.
Yeah.
Previously, when you go into a Q5 or A4 or whatever, you would the interior was Audi staple.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that
they were the gold standard in large production.
that gap is diminishing between the cheaper brands and the high-end brands, not only in fit and finish, but generally as a car, as a aesthetic and stuff.
And who we haven't talked about in this space? BYD.
Yeah.
Anyone who's reviewing those cars, they accept that it's not Porsche quality.
Yeah.
But it's also a third of Porsche price on some of their luxury sedans. They're going to eat our lunch. In time.
They're all EV.
It's all EV.
It's all
brand.
EV. Yeah, it's
all
EV.
EVs.
Yeah. But they're putting cars in the water, amphibious car.
Well, there's so many EV brands that's coming out of China now, right?
Yeah.
Affordable brands.
But the tech is nuts.
Yeah, they're innovating.
It's unreal.
At an alarming rate.
Yeah. They're just given the freedom to go build stuff.
Yeah.
But it's sad because they're putting all these tariffs on these Chinese cars to come to Canada, or they're even banning them.
Well, because they want to save.
They want to give the the North American market some runway to catch
I know
up.
we try not to get political here,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like there's a reciprocity thing to that I do think is a fair. If I can't go and sell Fords in the Chinese market,
Yeah.
why are they able to come
Yeah.
here, right? Like I think that's a fair argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think these numbers are somewhat telling. Another one that was interesting was the Ioniq. So they were up 25%.
Okay.
They're selling like hotcakes, the Hyundai.
Yeah, the Hyundai Electric.
Yeah. So I mean, EVs are not dead.
We
per
saw
se.
those at the Montreal show. They look all. I think they.
So
look
the
awful.
Hyundai EVs, do you know which EV brand looks actually nice from like a general perspective? Some of the Kia SUVs. No,
Yeah.
the Kia SUVs
Yeah.
actually look really good.
Yeah.
They have the EV variants, but they have nicer styling. They have cool headlights, nice interiors, and their price of like much better than the competition. I'm not sure. The new Model Y came out.
Yeah.
I think it's like 80 grand.
It went up 10 grand or
Yeah.
something like that.
They're launching it. I think it's February 1st. They're going up 9 or 10 grand.
Yeah.
But that's probably just to clear out the 24s that
Yeah.
are sitting.
Yeah, it's true. They won. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
On the line of EVs, the Mustang Mach-E, they sold 18% more than the previous year.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So I think there's a sweet spot here for EVs that still works. The price point, the value. So these luxury EVs don't make sense for people anymore. Spending 200 grand on an EV.
No, luxurious. Even Cadillac has the Escalade EV, IQ, I think it's called. It's like 170,000 US. Like it's crazy. And you know, everyone's foreshadowing the amount of depreciation that's going to come along with this purchase. Like it's going to be worth half that in like 3 months.
Yeah. What was it? The Mercedes EQS.
Yeah. Ugly though, ugly as sin.
I hate that.
But
yeah,
that
the
was
grill's
like a
awful.
200K car.
Yeah.
People are selling it for
I-
almost 80 grand
Isn't
now.
the as well the Audi, whatever the
e-tron GT?
e-tron that has tanked too.
Yeah.
Has it?
Yeah.
I haven't looked.
I haven't
at
seen many used examples of that one, to be
no.
honest. I think the Taycan had primarily more
I'll
sales.
send you the clip. There's a guy that did, if you bought it was 170 and
Yeah.
now you can get it a year and a half, 2 years later for 80.
What was it? Chris Harris said he preferred the e-tron GT over the
To the
Taycan.
Taycan.
So
I preferred visually. I like it more.
yeah, even driving wise,
Really?
he said the e-tron GT.
Well, because they have an RS.
I mean the Taycan has a
I
turbo.
thought it was the same. Is it not the same car, just different?
tuned and
I mean,
suspension
yeah,
setup
it's
is
the same
different,
car. It's still a battery on wheels, but I mean, I think it has different feel to the steering, maybe, or something.
I find these conversations just like I like Duracell batteries. I like Energizer, and people argue.
Hey man,
Gold is better than the
Energizer
silver.
Bunny on
Right.
and on and on and on. Anyway, so those are some
Okay.
of the. You had some you wanted to share
What is the question?
the sales data.
Sales data.
stats.
No, I mean, I was comparing the FT86 versus the BRZ and this the Supra.
Oh, that's right,
The Supra actually didn't do too well. I'm surprised because they came out with the manual, and then it didn't sell as well as they hoped. Maybe I don't know, but the FT86 did really well. It outsold all three
It's a
competition.
cheaper car, right? It's
It
half the
is.
cost.
It's definitely cheaper than like even we're looking at the Nissan Z. It's still $50,000-$60,000
$55
compared
for
to
the base,
compared to like
Their numbers were skewed. They were up 78%.
Oh really?
Well, it's a brand new entry, right? I
It's
think.
first years of
They
sales.
sold 10 last year, and now they sold 17
So there you go.
far.
Yeah.
But all in all, when we look at total changes, I think the entire auto industry is sort of seeing a
Yeah.
decline in
Yeah.
sales.
Well, I think it's about to be a buyer's market.
Yeah.
So I know we had talked about like my daily for Lydia. I just think like time's on my side.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna wait it out?
Yeah, wait till like something either.
Well, your
price
car's not
come down,
fault if your
manufacturer
car
rate.
still drives.
My car is fine.
Yeah. I mean, the longer you wait, you might just get less on trade on your car. The delta might be the same.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I'm it's interesting. I want to kind of conclude by one thought that just came up is the GT3 for the value. Is it worth 410?
No.
No,
You know,
I
It
think
isn't. We talked about.
I
it.
think it's
not.
unanimous. Like, in my opinion, the 911 model is like it reached Wednesday. It's down to Thursday now.
It jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Like that's the expression.
All right.
Right. Think about that. What you just said. 410 for GT3. It's
nuts.
You could get
That's
a
nuts.
ZR1 and have $100,000 cash in your
Commodity.
pocket,
Crazy. That's
or
crazy.
to buy another car,
That's crazy.
There you go. That's
Right.
true.
to buy something to go camping in, or put your parents in
Yeah.
at the airport.
Yeah. I guess
All right.
let's try to wrap it up on this one then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching as well. What do you all think? What are your best value sports cars for 2025? What's the most exciting or disappointing releases for you as well? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.
Peace.